Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream today. John, Scott, do you want to say hi?
Sure.
Hi,
Hi, everyone. I'm John.
I'm Scott, engineer at Google.
Sweet. So Scott does most of the engineering on OpenMatch, I think these days, or leads the open source Google efforts for OpenMatch. That's probably more accurate, I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. And John, you're a developer advocate here, working on OpenMatch as well.
Yep.
And many people who have met me before are Mark Mandel, developer advocate at Google. I do not work on OpenMatch, or I think I've put in some docs on occasion. I think is about my limit. So today we're going to talk about unit testing. Now, John, have you ever written a unit test before?
So my last unit test was written in junior year of college, and
Yep.
since then I've had someone on a team who wrote them for me.
Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do here is you're gonna be writing the code, and Scott and I are going to direct you on how to do it essentially.
Okay.
But before we get stuck into that, do we want to talk a little bit about like why unit testing is important?
Um, so actually, I'm going to say something controversial. Unit testing in and of itself is not important. What is important is testing, right? Because without testing, we don't have confidence that the code works.
So when we say testing, I'm going to assume we mean automated testing of some kind.
Yes. Manual testing is a fallback. However, it is a very poor fallback that leads to a lot of work that you just frankly don't want to do.
Yep.
But I have heard of people doing it to extreme degrees, successfully but painfully.
Yes. Computers scale better than humans, I feel
Yeah.
is a
Yes.
good sentiment. I also realized my production lighting wasn't on, and that just makes me sad.
So we want to have confidence that the code we wrote works.
Yep.
There are some other benefits of testing, though. Actually, I think more important than we believe the code works now is we believe the code will continue to work as people make
Yes.
changes. And one actual benefit of unit testing specifically is have I kind of cut up the code into reasonable units? Because it's really easy to write code that is called from one place. But if it's called, when you write a unit test, you are working with what this code, the contract of this code is.
Yeah.
And unit tests can often suss out the detail of, hey, the contract is not clear here. So it's really hard to write, if it was really hard to write a unit test for a pure function because the contract is not clear, then you have a problem.
Yeah. I think yeah. So like if you're like I don't know how I'm going to unit test this is usually a good sign that you need to sit down and be like, okay, maybe I need to re-architect how this bit works.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Any thoughts or questions, John? Do you want to ask before we start? Maybe write some code.
Um. So typically, well, I'll tell you my experience writing this match function, and my experience writing this match function was I'm gonna hit every potential edge case that would cause this thing to fail,
Mhm.
and that is the extent of testing in general for me since junior year. But I guess the question I would have is, how do we, well, hopefully we get into this. How do we define unit tests that are valuable? Meaning, like, um, I can test like simple scenarios saying, hey, I want to match four players together
Yep.
of similar skill. But once we scale that up, how do you pick out the valuable pieces that make your unit tests more thorough? So hopefully we can get into that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I'll tell you what. Also, yeah, what are we actually testing here is probably also a good thing. So I think you have a few files here. We have match function go, we've got Server go, we've got main go. What do we want to be testing? Is it just the match function.go? Is that what we're looking at today?
Yes, so we're going to be testing the match function. So I wrote a skill-based match function. It just accepts X amount of tickets, obviously
Yep.
to each profile. For those who don't know what profiles are, they're just the I guess you can call them the match criteria for each one of our I won't say match criteria, but it defines how to filter tickets based upon different attributes, whether it be skill, latency, anything that you can consider that you would match people in a game to.
Yep.
And once you filter these tickets into pools, then we could start to run match function on these pools. Whether you want to create a pool that holds all tickets or just filter them down into more um, I guess shard them down into more like specific pools. Like, hey, I want to create a pool that has tickets that have a skill range of 0 to 2, 1 to 3, and and based upon those profiles, well, I don't say profiles. Based upon those pools, we'll pick out 4 tickets that will give us a good match, and we're gonna pick. Well, we're gonna sort the tickets first, and then we're gonna make sure that we go through each one of the um,
Well, okay. I'll tell you what. Why don't we take a step
yeah.
back? What are the chunks? Like it looks like we have several functions here
Oh, sure.
within this fold. Like what are the functions and what do they each do?
Okay, so
At
the
like a
first
high
function
level.
is just okay. So high level, the run function is just going to call like very very high level. Match function is just going to accept. It's going to look at accept the run request, and it's going to use the query service, pull a bunch of tickets from
Yep.
the query service, and then eventually call make matches, which is the second function that you see below. That's going to run the match function on these ticket pools, and eventually once we've created our match proposals, we're going to stream these back to OpenMatch.
Okay. So that it seems like this run function is like the amalgam of everything else that's also down below it, all the other functions as well. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So if we scroll down, what else do we have? So we have mate matches.
Is that
Yes.
it?
So we have. Go ahead, Scott.
What's this is a big one.
Is that it, or is it just make matches?
Oh, yeah, this is make matches, and then we also have a function down below that computes quality of the match.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So I don't know about you, but what I would think is okay. The easiest place to start for testing is probably that bottom function because it's just the smallest, and then we can start to take things apart. Does that work for y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. That sounds good. All right. So this
Okay.
compute. Sorry, Scott, you gonna say something?
Okay. The top function, I don't think we should unit test at all.
Yeah, I don't think so as well.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that if we want to get to it later. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with you, but that's fine.
So I guess I'll talk about the compute quality function.
Yep.
So one of the great things about OpenMatch is it allows you to associate a quality to a match proposal, and the great thing about it is the evaluator would then get to choose matches or match proposals that have the highest quality at a higher priority, so that ensures that people who are having matches or are having games will play games that are more enjoyable and closer in skill, so that there's not so wide of a skill range gap in this particular case for the skill based match function. So um, the compute quality is just going to accept all of the tickets that are going in for the match proposal, um, and it will sort well, it won't sort the tickets, but it'll go because there's only 4 tickets. I didn't see a point in sorting these tickets, so it's going to go through all of these tickets unsorted, choose the highest and the lowest, and the quality of the match is dependent on the difference between the highest and the lowest ticket in the pool. Well, ticket in these particular match function. The tickets that are associated with this match proposal. Sorry. And I figured that would be a great starting point because um, we have overlapping ticket pools. So there's a good chance that some tickets are in this pool that are a lot lower skill. So if we define that our accepted, skill range is 2, the skill differential is 2, then this works out for the match proposal. But yeah,
So
this is a
okay,
great.
so yeah, just so I understand, like just to simplify that maybe a little. So this is used when when multiple people or multiple tickets have been assigned to the same matches. How do we determine which match we use out of the 2 different ones? Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so this does that by doing some calculations of some kind. Probably we don't even have to worry about that too much. Okay, so it computes a quality number, and a higher quality, like a higher number is better quality. Is that correct?
In this case, in this case, the a lower quality is actually better.
Lower quality is actually better. Okay, so like 0 is awesome and like 100 is not so good.
Right.
For argument's sake. Okay, cool. Checking chat. Why not just test?
Code review or just unit testing?
We're just unit testing.
Wait, just unit testing.
We can get code reviews for the pull request. Let's just do some unit tests. Doombringer operator says, why not just testing the behavior given the given tickets validate the generated matches? That's a good question about whether should you do just high level testing or the lower level testing. I actually like testing at all layers because I don't see any harm in like more tests. And sometimes you can get into if you break out like your code, and we may end up starting to maybe pull some stuff apart. I like you can do some of the nittier grittier like complicated stuff if you've got the right functions that are like, or the right like components. And then at the higher level, you're doing more of like, is this all working all the way through? And I don't have to do as many edge case tests at a higher level where often it's more complicated to test all the way through. I can do my edge case stuff at my lower functions that sort of encapsulate that nicely. That's usually the way I like to look at it. Okay. Yeah, so like this is why I like, okay, what's the simplest unit that we can use here, which is compute quality, and see if we get some of the results that we think we should. Which we can dig into as well. All right, so let's start by writing a test file, shall we? So yes, let's write match function _ test.go. So in Go, every file has a test file, and it's literally the same name with _test. It's nothing more complicated than that. We're going to give it. Oh, it doesn't do it doesn't do anything for us. Oh, fantastic. We will want the Apache license at the top. That's probably the first step, actually.
Just copy paste the license and the package
from matchfunction.go. Yeah. At the top. Grab that package line 15 as well.
Yeah.
There are some cases where you might want a different package name for your testing, but I don't think we need to worry about that today.
And it's 2020, so copyright.
Oh, yes, true. We should actually change that in both places. That's fine. All right, so I figured best start is like let's just write an empty test that does nothing.
Sure.
I figure. So it's what do we got? Check quality. So if we write func T test quality. Test, what is it? Test check quality or whatever it's called.
I like that. Let's see, check quality. Let's see. Yeah. It's writing on this keyboard. Sorry, I just got a new keyboard.
It's all right. Testing, like writing words in front of people is always like the hardest.
And then the argument is T space star testing dot T, capital T. Lowercase testing, uppercase T, yeah.
Testing and dot uppercase T.
Yep, uppercase T.
Yep.
Oh yeah, this is Go.
Yep. So a couple of fun things in here. So any by convention we know any function that has a capital letter, it's public. Testing also follows convention. So any function that starts with the word test is necessarily a is a test function and will be called as such. We do need to and so every test function takes in this testing.t thing. So is there a way to just do a quick fix on that so that it imports it for you?
Is that an import that we're missing?
Yeah. It should does the IDE fix it for you? I would have thought so. There was a
Let's
quick
see.
fix option. Do it that way. So did you highlight it? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
I just let's save the file.
there. Oh, there you go. That should now work. So testing.t gives you a bunch of stuff, but let's just run that. Just where it says run test, just run the thing.
Run file test. I'm assuming. Oh,
That works too, or just the individual. And it's running. Probably going to compile.
This is a long time for a Go compile.
Or is it
Yeah.
already... How do you know when
Is
it's
it
done?
done?
I don't use this IDE at all. Is it done? Did it finish?
That's a good question.
How do you know? I don't know. I
Well,
don't
it
use
says
VS
it's still
Code.
running. It says cancel running test at the bottom, so it's still running.
Oh, wow. Why? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
So,
There
cool.
we go.
So, John, congratulations. You just wrote and ran your first unit test.
Yeah.
By the way, no code always passes. All right. So, okay. So, John, actually, here's a good question for you then. All right. If we go back, if we look at that check quality, what's like we're probably gonna want to run a few different scenarios, but let's just start with one. What's one scenario that you would expect this to return a certain quality value? If that makes sense.
Well, you would assume that if all tickets have the same value or the same skill.
Actually, I've got a good one. I'm gonna actually interrupt you. What did you expect to happen if there are no tickets? That's probably actually the easiest.
Yes,
and a
so if
good one to
there's no
test.
Tickets,
Yep.
Then this function should not run at all. It should just return a -1. I guess would be the quality.
I don't know. What is actually the right value here? Should it be 0? I actually don't know.
Yeah,
It could be 0. Should be
so-
maybe fine.
Yeah, I don't think anybody or any game would have a skill that's negative. So I would say that any skill that is any quality that is returned below 0 will probably be acceptable input, like an acceptable invalid.
This definitely has skill
Response.
negative.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, did not know that.
If you put your MMR as a normal curve,
Mhm.
your range is approximately -3 to 3.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I guess the question is, Scott, what would be an acceptable response for an unacceptable skill? Is the question, since you have a little bit more experience in skill-based MMRs.
So if what we're asking is, do we want to make this function more robust by having it accept, no tickets? Like, what should it return then? I would say if negative is worse and positive is better, return negative infinity.
Okay.
And say like it's infinitely bad that you would make a match with no tickets in it.
And Go there's a max size, isn't
Yeah,
there?
it's math.inf -1.
So should I?
So we're gonna
I guess
edit are we gonna edit the match? Well, actually, here's the interesting question too, I suppose. In this match function, if you have no tests, you're not gonna. Sorry, if you have no tickets, then there's nothing to compute, and therefore there's no overlap. So does this value even matter if there are no tickets? Really, what we're doing is testing to make sure it doesn't error or fail. I think at this point, would that be accurate?
Yeah, this is kind of a case where the expected, I don't know, domain that you're going to be calling this function with doesn't include a case where there's no tickets.
Right.
So it is kind of questionable whether you should handle the case. Some people do more coding defense in depth, that if I have a bug somewhere else, it's going to be, caught by this and whatever. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that leads to a lot of extra work, which you don't actually need because the code is going to work anyways. So it's.
So I think I would say, for the sake of this, let's be defensive, and let's just assume that someone is calling this without potentially passing any tickets.
So
Okay,
I'm
so
happy. I'm happy to say write the test, but I don't know if we need to handle it like a result as a special case. Mainly, we're just checking to make sure it doesn't fail in any way. Would that be? How do you all feel about that?
yeah, we can do a little bit of TD trust driven development or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's just write it. Let's just call it and see what happens.
Yeah.
So just yeah, call it and see what happens. Make sure it doesn't
Yeah.
error.
So let's go like.
Just nil.
You can clearly tell that I have linear switching.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start with that and run that as a test.
Yeah.
We're gonna and then we'll do a test for quality. Just for arguments, just for funs.
There we go. We failed.
We failed. Why did we fail?
What's the failure here?
Does it show us like what like if there's
Well, we haven't actually outputted a message.
We shouldn't need to if it like panics or
Yeah, there's a panic. Spoiler alert.
is that
So
in
we
the
should see-
there we
Oh,
go.
there it
Okay.
Oh,
Can you
yeah,
make that bigger?
Yeah, sure.
Can you drag that up?
Scroll
There we go. So, do we care about nil or do we just care about an empty like an empty array?
In Go they are equivalent.
Well, here they're clear.
Oh, wait,
Mm.
hold on. Yes, here they are equivalent because doing it like an empty array and nil look the same.
Well, let's have a look at the code. So where does it fail? So if you scroll down on your Goroutine panic, here we go. And match function.go 129. I'm pointing on my screen like you can see it. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm like, just click there.
So it'll be this line.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. See? Okay. All right. So we found a bug. This is good. I like this. So yes, we will need to do some kind of defensive programming here if we're going to check that first value.
Yep. Actually, there's a way we can do this without doing too much here, which is when you want a default for high and low, the default for high should be the lowest value, and the default for low should be the highest value. So replace that with math.inf -1. And then low with math.inf1. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. All right, let's run our test again.
Quality gives you there, but it should give you negative infinity. Yeah, so that'd be good.
Which actually is kind of what we wanted, right? Well, we can let's make sure it doesn't panic, and then we'll actually test values. Because I'd like to test the value. All right.
Yeah, I would like to test the value too.
All right. So let's give that. Let's set it to a value. Let's put it in a variable. So let's call it, I don't know, quality equals or something.
Say it one more time. Sorry.
So let's go on.
Capture the result of calling that function as a variable. Q or quality doesn't really matter. The Go way is to just use really short variable names that are really confusing.
Yeah, you don't have to. I think in places where it makes sense, it's contextual. All right, so we're gonna use there's a library you use called Testify that does some nice handling of like equality operations and stuff. So I think we're gonna use that. And so we're expecting negative infinity. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So what you'll write is, let me make sure I get this right. Yes. Okay. So you're gonna write required.equal. There it is. Beautiful. So you're going to pass in t. So t is actually your testing context. It actually has functions off it, but we're just passing that through. So what are we going to expect? We're going to expect math.inf -1. -1. The actual is q. And we don't actually need any messages, so we can actually delete that and get rid of the comma. Cool. So if we run this again, awesome. We have a test. All right.
Nice.
All right, so next level. What happens if we have, let's start with one ticket.
So should
So,
we
ooh.
write a whole new test?
Ooh, so what we can do, so this is a nice Go thing. We can do subtests within tests.
Okay.
That are super nice. So if above above line 25, sorry, we can do this. It's actually quite nice. So write t.run, capital R. Yep. Let's give it a name. Let's call it like no tickets as a string. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, we'll just call it no tickets for. And then this takes a function. So you'll write just func, open brackets, and this is t. Not curly, regular brackets. So you're actually defining the whole function.
Yeah,
so we need to.
sound.
Oh, am I still here?
Yeah. Parentheses, not brackets.
There we go.
And then there's the t.testing.t again.
Yep.
The same thing as the argument to test check quality.
Yes.
Say that one more time.
The same thing as the argument to test check quality.
Okay.
Perfect. So what we're doing here is we're writing a function that will get called by t.run. And then after where you just did that, you want to do your squiggly brackets.
And then move everything into that.
For the brackets.
Squiggly brackets, open that up. Yeah. Cut that. Bring that next line.
I'll make it nice.
When you save it, it should I assume you have like Go format working anyway. There we go. Nice. So what this is it's actually just a nice way of if you have like you wanna separate out different types of tests. And you can also do other things like you can create t.run programmatically if you want, like in a loop. I don't think we'll worry about that today, but there's other stuff you can do there too. All right, so let's do a new t.run. And we'll maybe go like one ticket.
And
How are we doing for time?
I'll just copy. How about this?
Yep.
I'll just copy.
We have 15 minutes.
We do. Oh, apparently I have something directly after this. I have no idea what this is. All right. So apparently I can't. Okay.
And now we pass the ticket. So let's see. Do I need to include?
All right. So we're going to have to create a ticket.
Yeah. So I need to include open match. Open match slash, what is it?
Openmatch.dev/openmatch/
if you started writing it inside t.run, it should solve that for you. Like, doesn't it do the imports for you automatically? Rather than you having to do it by hand?
Let's see. And
an array, or it's a slice. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
And What do we need?
You want to put inside this? Yeah, that right there. Then you put another PB.ticket. But with the
With the
reference, or no, make a reference in front of the PB.ticket. What is it? And
yeah, and now we need to pass along a skill
And how is skill stored in there?
as a double arg. So
Unfortunately, I am gonna have to end this at the hour. But that's all right.
I'm trying to remember because right now I don't have formatting. It'll be what, double arg?
it'll first be inside of search fields.
Yes.
Oh wow, this doesn't give you any like what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't give you any hints. Like it doesn't autocomplete for you.
Is it because we have to include?
It's
This is-
PKG/PP. I think.
Tell you what, Leah, let's I would actually, we're at on line 31, I would get rid of the and pb.ticket like field, and let's just create an empty array and make sure that there's no compilation errors.
Oh, closing
Yeah.
bracket.
Closing bracket.
Oh.
Too far.
No, you need opening and closing bracket there.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you save that, yeah, see, we still have an error. So why do we have an error? Expected operand, found that. I don't think there should be a space. You've got a, no, yeah, that doesn't look right. Oh my God, how do you do arrays and Go again? I think isn't the square brackets first?
Yes. It's Monday morning. Forgive us.
No, I'm the same. Absolutely.
Oh,
So
before
it's-
the reference to.
Yeah, it's square brackets pointer. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now we're cooking with fire. And now if you go into the square brackets, into the squiggly brackets, if you move your cursor into there and you hit like, I assume it's like control space or whatever your auto hint thingy is. Will it give you hints? There we go. Now we can go pb.ticket, hit enter on that, and then hit it again. And if you hit it again.
Oh, you want me to autocomplete again?
Yeah, autocomplete again.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant click enter again.
Oh, that's fine too.
Enter's good too.
Yeah. Yeah, hit auto. What are you doing? That was fine. That you had it. It was fine. Okay, but now you have, now you can see search fields and you can do all this kind of stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm just getting you to use the IDE to write the code so you don't have to remember anything.
Why am I getting so many? Never mind. I'm just going to undo what I just did. Okay.
Can you drop some of this into new lines? Like having this all in one line is also super hard to
It
read.
is killing me as well.
We may also want to pull out the ticket into its own variable. Maybe that might also be a little easier to read rather than have it in line in compute quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, drop the drop all the curly braces onto new lines too at the end.
Yeah, the last curly brace and
There we go.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
here we
right.
go. All right, search fields. I think that needs some curly braces at the end.
that doesn't need PB search fields. There, yeah.
Yeah, let's do a.
Stack Overbench.
Oh wait, does that not?
Do code complete again. There we go.
Hold on, what's broken here? I think you need the before the opening bracket the PB search fields.
No, I usually think when you go down to where search fields, see how the squiggly bracket is red? There needs to be a comma there.
You need a comma.
You need a comma.
There we go.
There we go. And then the next one needs a comma too. There we go. Okay.
We're still broken it up.
Yeah. So that
Why
means
is
that
it?
doesn't import the pb dot search fields because you're constructing an something of
Yes.
the type.
Why is it complaining?
No, before this curly bracket you're currently in. Nope, up down a line.
Yeah.
There.
Missing
The
type.
and pb dot search fields.
Ah, yes. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, lovely.
Now double args.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Squiggly
After
brackets.
After that, squiggly brackets.
now we have
Was it MMR?
Yep.
Was that what you used? I think.
Yeah.
You'll need that as a string.
string.
No. You'll need to put it inside quotes. Is what I was saying.
The letters MMR inside quotes. Open, quote, open MMR quote. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Colon.
Nope. Colon, not comma.
Yeah, because you're setting up a map. There we go. And then what's our MMR value going to be?
Let's just give it a value of 3 because that's
Okay.
like average.
Okay. Sure.
Cool. All right. So what do we expect in this scenario the compare quality value to be?
So if it's 3, then with 1 ticket, the ticket will be both the high and the low,
Okay.
and the quality should be 0.
All right. Let's change out that line so that the expected value is 0. All right. Let's run the function. Run the test. Is that starting to make sense, John? Ooh.
Yeah, I'm starting to see it.
Oh, okay. So this is a little go trickery here. This is why actually I like Testify because it gives you some nice error handling here. So, there's what this is saying is you've said that the value we expect is an integer of 0, but we're actually getting back a float 64 of 0. Yeah, so so we can do it. There's actually a couple of different ways we could have solved this, but yeah, let's do that. Run that again. So we could cast the 0 as float 64. We can write 0.0, which that should actually work. I can't see a reason why. There's actually another fun thing that Testify will do for you with require. You can do equal values, which is kind of like a loosey equals, where it'll try its best to be like, oh, these are the same, even though maybe ones that like the type system isn't quite the same and stuff too. Cool. But that's fun. All right, sweet. I will do one small thing that you can see. You can see where it says pb.ticket and it has the yellow squiggly thing under it. Yeah, you can actually delete that. So Go is actually quite nice where because it knows that from line 31 that we're looking at an array of pb.ticket, you don't have to redeclare what the inside type is because it already knows. So you can actually just delete that bit you've highlighted and it'll still work. And some linters will actually complain at you a bit if you do that. So that'll all still work again. So we have 7 minutes left. John, do you see how as well, like how now we can, we could now add 2 tickets, 3 tickets, or like specific scenarios we can start doing. Like you might be like, you could start comparing groups and expecting values as that comes forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm starting to see it. Yes.
Awesome. What you could also do, if you want to sort of take this to, I don't know if next level is the right thing, but we don't have to worry about it for now, especially. Is you could actually build like an array of like what you call like tests, basically a big map of tests. Oh, sorry, a big map of tickets and expected values as data, and then just do a loop over them. That's another trick. Okay. But like, don't have to worry about that for now. Just doing like t.run with like different groupings within this test, that works super well, and will get you a long way as well. But yeah, because with everything here, like t.run, it's all programmatic. If you're like, oh, I'm writing the same thing over and over and over again to like set up tests or tear down tests, or like to initialize their values, you can do it all programmatically as well, which is also super nice.
Gotcha. All right. So I kind of see where I can run with this because once we've gone to, 2 tickets, 3 tickets, um, 4 tickets, because 4 tickets is the amount of tickets required for a match. Um, I guess once I want to test my match function, I think when I test my match function, I think the best thing to test is to make sure that, just to go back to
Yeah, let's go
the
back to
match
match function.
function.
So we scroll up. Okay, so now we get into like this make matches function, which is a whole other thing.
Mhm.
Right. So here we, I'll probably create a function inside of the match function dot test to generate a profile
Oh yeah.
for this match, and then from there, once I've gotten the profile, I'll pass the profile as well as all of the tickets. I'd probably have to. I probably won't have to actually create, like, actually do a query service, but I'll just create like a a map of different pools. So like one pool might have like 3 tickets, another pool might have 4 tickets, and then I'll see if I can run my match function on those pools and see if I
Yep.
get expected results. Well, I guess the expected results will probably be the actual match proposals that are returned. So I need to test to make sure that I'm getting the expected match proposals
Yep.
based upon the tickets that come in.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep. No, that sounds great. And you might find as you're going through it, you're like, oh, like testing this particular edge case is hard, or that kind of stuff. Or I think you sort of outlined one already where like you're like building a query service. I assume, Scott, there's no like mocking query service.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I said at the start, at the
Yeah.
very first function here, I would not unit test because what the unit test would look like is what this function looks like. As in, I would have to mock out the query.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not running it in a cluster, I'd have to mock out the query.
Yep.
I'd be calling make matches, which we already trust to be correct, roughly
Yeah.
speaking. We may be calling it wrong, but we roughly trust it to be correct. And then we are sending it back on a stream, which we would also have to mock.
Yeah.
And the only logic here is error handling, right? And it's simple error handling. It's stuff that we can look at and we can roughly trust to be correct. Like not 100%, but roughly trust.
Yeah.
So this unit testing this would look like this function just again it made in the opposite of like these are all the calls I expected to make in the right order, and if you want to change this test or you want to change the logic here, your change would just look the same again. It kind of just becomes a change detector test. So I don't see any value in testing it that way. What I would do is if I was putting this in a larger system is write an integration test that tests the whole system.
That's fair.
So that way, it would be a much more productive test because it's making sure that, hey, the director is creating proposals in the way that the match function expects to get, and it's able to call, like it's hooked up correctly to query, and I'm gonna, this match function knows how to call that. Like testing all of that is what actually you care about with this. The question is whether you want to test the error cases.
Maybe
I kind of waffle on that.
Yeah, I think where I would come from is I think it would be nice if there were mocking services for those particular things, mainly because my feedback loop on a unit test is so much faster than an integration test. So even if I was just writing a unit test that just was like, does this fail? And the answer is no, I'd be like, cool. Or just like a really basic unit test to just make sure it does things in the right order. I get a really nice feedback loop from that really quickly. But I completely and utterly agree that yes, this is where I would also have an integration test that's doing like more, like I want to know that everything works end to end. And there's some overlap there, I think, testing wise, but that's probably my perspective.
I would say if you have high quality stubs, that's where it's useful.
Yeah,
versus
I agree.
Integration versus mocking.
How do you see the difference?
The difference is I would call mocking as
we may not have time for this discussion right now, which is fine.
Very quickly, an easier example is like with a database, right? Like a mock would be when I call this query on the database, I expect this response, right?
Yep.
So you are kind of expecting the behavior from the
Oh,
database.
you're saying like a mock would like fake it, like it would look like it was a
Yeah.
database, but it actually was. Yeah, no, actually, I
Yeah.
100% agree. Whereas like you're saying like a stub where you're like,
A stub would be like an in-memory, like simple database that is faster than running an integration test.
yeah.
But it would be checking that, hey, the syntax that your SQL statement is correct. Like it doesn't have an error in like syntax, right? Whereas a mock would be, well, I'm like this string of SQL will give this response, but you're not actually verifying that the SQL means anything.
Yeah, no,
It's totally bogus. With your,
I'd probably be okay with that. With like if this basically like a mocking type scenario where you're like, because Kubernetes kind of does that, where it's like if you pass me this data, you're gonna tell me that you're gonna give me back this response, like in the test. And so like I don't care about like making it an implementation that looks the same. Anyway, I digress. I know we all have to run to other meetings, but this has been fun. We should do it more.
Yeah. Good.
Excellent. Thank you very much to everyone who hung out with us too. I saw a bunch of stuff in chat. Unfortunately, I didn't get to all of it. But yes, John, what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, syntax error 1.
Syntax error 1. Excellent. Open_match on Twitter for the Open Match project and openmatch.dev if you want to check that out as well. Yeah, we should do this more often. I think we should do this. This is fun.
Yeah, this is fun.
All right, cool. All right, I'll let you all go. I need to run to other things as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next stream.